Today, at your local prison, a convicted rapist will be set free after serving only a fraction of his sentence. Why? Because the prison systems are quickly becoming overcrowded with minor marijuana offenses. There are 24.7% of all prison inmates are incarcerated for marijuana possession. I am here today to explain why is marijuana illegal, what forces work to keep it this way, and what would possibly be the benefits if we were to legalize it. Now, according to a recent 2008 Bureau of Justice Statistics report, 12.7% of all state inmates and 12.4% of all federal inmates are incarcerated for marijuana. That's 35,655 in state and 10,785 federal prisoners that we have to keep incarcerated just because they chose to do something as harmless as smoke a little weed. This report does not even count the counties and jails and smaller institutions, something like that. Now, statistics show that it keeps an average of $36,000 to incarcerate somebody for a year. Well, at the time the report was published, there are 6 million Americans incarcerated for marijuana. Now, combined, that is more than the entire populations of Alaska, Delaware, the District of Columbia, Montana, North and South Dakota, Vermont, and Wyoming, all in prison because they smoke weed. I'm not going to do the math for you, but if you times all that by $36,000, yeah, that's billions and billions of your hard-earned tax dollars that we could have gone and spent on things like education, health forms, nice practical ideas that maybe would have done better for the community. According to this survey, 94 million Americans, that's 52% of the U.S. population, ages 12 or older, admitted to smoking marijuana on a recreational basis. It is time that the American public policies should reflect this statistic and not deny it. It makes no sense to continue to treat half of America like criminals. No, marijuana isn't a harmless substance, and those who want it legalized don't claim for it to be. However, the relative risks of smoking marijuana are much lower than that of alcohol or tobacco, and they are not as deserving as the expenses associated with targeting users, arresting, and prosecuting. Now, many people assume that marijuana is made illegal through some kind of scientific research or medical and government hearings, and it's designed to protect the citizens from themselves, and this is a dangerous drug. But this can be farther from the truth. The people who voted for this were uneducated, had their own agenda, and they were very dependent of information supplied by politicians who had their own political agendas going on. The history of marijuana criminalization is based upon lies, yellow journalism, racism, and ignorance. In reality, marijuana has been legal for the majority of time since its use. It's not a newly discovered plant, and it's not a long-standing law. Marijuana has been illegal for less than 1% of the time it's been in use, and its uses go back known to 7000 BC. It was legal as recently as Ronald Reagan was a boy. In the early 1900s, Western states developed significant tensions with Mexican Americans. Later in the decade, bad feelings between the small farmers and the large farms that used cheap Mexican labor. When the Depression really set in and tensions tended to increase, this was something that was used against the Mexican Americans, because one of the differences seized upon this time was the fact that many of them liked to smoke pot, and they brought the plant with them from Mexico. With a system of taxation and legalization and regulation, marijuana could benefit many of American life. First, the amount of space that would be spent in the American prison systems would be cut majorly in half instantly. 50% on some surfers. Recently, a team of 500 economists produced a study called the Budgetary Implications of Marijuana Prohibition. The report shows that replacing prohibition with the system of taxation legalization would save in itself $7.7 billion a year. This would produce tax revenues of at least $2.4 billion annually if marijuana was taxed, such as food, soda, but it would produce $6.2 billion if it was taxed like cigarettes or tobacco or things of that nature. Now, as I conclude this speech, I would like to review my main points that I've already brought up. Millions and millions of dollars are being spent to lock up average people who smoke marijuana. These people are no different than me and you, they just live a different lifestyle. This money in jail space could be used for much better things, like child molesters, rapists, murderers, people that actually do belong in prison. Now, the reasons for making this plant illegal are not based on educated scientific medical research. They're based on lies and fears and unfound truths. To correct these problems, legalization, through regulation and taxation, would be wonderful to implement. This will put American laws in tune with American opinions. I say that the next time you come across a petition for legalization, you should think twice before signing it or walking on.